I refuse to allow Dextero to give me cookies, so I can't read that article.
You refuse cookies. All right, we're live, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Some beautiful cars, actually, I want to talk about later, but the biggest articles, I think, are going to be the Call of Duty Battle Royale mode that was announced, because there's a few things going on with that are different from the Battle Royale games that are already out. Then there's Death Stranding, and I really don't like Death Stranding still, so I kind of want to pick apart that game even more. Even though I haven't even played it, I still want to tear it down.
It's coming to PC. You ready?
Yeah, I know. I'll talk about that too. I'll probably rant about that actually later. And what was the other one that I really wanted to talk about? The whiskey guide for buying whiskey as a gift this holiday season. Before we start though, in the coming week or two, I wanted to get probably a Twitter account set up for the SSP and Reddit and maybe an Instagram later on, but this week I think Twitter and Reddit to kind of just start putting it out a little bit more. So
I agree. Yeah, let's do it. I don't have a Twitter, so this might be the first adventure into that space ever.
Your first foray. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter for hip hop artists actually, like Vinny, RA, Apathy. A lot of times they'll announce new albums or music through Twitter, so I'm all about that. And then I started following Trump, and that's just fantastic every day. Really though,
Reddit's a good idea. I like Reddit.
Reddit's awesome too. So
you can add that to your feed. Put it on with my PC gaming Reddit.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can post so many different subreddits about criticisms or new podcast or whatever. Especially if once we get going, if it gets reposted on Reddit from other people, that'd be cool too. So, that's what I'm hoping for most. All right, let's start out with 3D printing, because we've started with 3D printing for 3 weeks now. Might as well keep the theme.
Keep the tradition. We're gonna just become a 3D printing podcast about 3D printers and all the wonderful worldly things that they do.
They're so intense. I don't know if you get that same vibe from 3D
I feel
like I do, but
at this point they're like the baby. It's the infancy of the T-1000 from Terminator. I'm watching that video and it's literally a robot walking on 3D printed material, and all I'm thinking about is a liquid metal Terminator coming coming to life and executing people by the droves. This is ridiculous.
It's getting more and more crazy, because this 3D printer prints with multiple materials. And then you think about circuit boards being able to be printed, and I mean, if you can start printing motors and mechanical pieces, that's when you get crazy.
I'm telling you, it's baby steps. We're already getting into deep thought or whatever that high level Google program thing. No, the thing that was running
or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That deep think, and then you're gonna have the ability to process ones and zeros in 3 dimensions or whatever. And next thing you know, we're gonna have robots building themselves. And then
that's the singularity, man. When you have AI teaching itself.
What do you guys think about Trump and his quest to get 3D printed gun blueprints out on the interweb?
Whoa!
Yeah, what?
Oh no! 3D printed gun blueprints. You can be printing up guns in minutes.
He wants to get them off.
Yeah,
the
internet? 2 days ago, a federal judge ruled that the Trump administration would violate federal laws if they plan to permit the sharing or sale of blueprints for 3D printed guns online. So it's probably, I'm guessing that it has to do with the NRA's right to, gun sales and whatnot. But It looks
Well,
like the White House was trying to get 3D printed gun blueprints to be able to be, because once you have a blueprint, you have a 3D printer, you can make
print as many.
Make a plastic gun, and we all know the many things you could do with a non metal gun.
How do you guys
feel about that?
The last time I heard about 3D printed guns was like maybe 2 years ago, and they required like only one metal piece, I think. But how do you get the bullet through? You got to like conceal that. I mean, it's easy to conceal a bullet.
Well, you can take the pin, and it's the pin hitting the bullet. I think you just put that
like put them on your keychain or something.
Yeah, you put it completely separate. So, and then you insert those parts into the plastic.
Yeah, after you get it through the scanner. I mean, nobody's gonna pick up like a little bullet if it's on like your key ring,
Right. Yeah.
They're only good for like one shot, I think, or like maybe two or something, because the plastic components like blow apart.
Well, even just in regards to like national security on the level of airports, that's one thing. But what if you're like 3D printing guns in mass that the government knows nothing about, like arming people to the teeth with like crazy amounts of guns?
That's why, like you have you seen White Boy Rick?
Yeah.
They touch on like him making suppressors and barrels, like he machines it.
That was his dad. That's what his dad did.
Anybody that can machine can make a barrel that is like totally unique,
Yeah, but you're like if let's say they put an assault rifle ban out, which is, I mean, far down the road. If they do that, you can just 3D print your own assault rifles and sell them for pennies on the dollar cheaper, or even more, I guess, because the demand would be high. So it'd be going through the roof. You'd have some guy just milling out AR-15s in the backyard in his shack, like selling them hand over fist. I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, I don't.
Well, to give you some background,
they're going to make it easier.
Well, the Barack Obama administration had blocked the company's efforts to publish the blueprints, the files, arguing that it violates an arms export law. But the State Department in June 2018 gave Defense Distributed the green light by settling a lawsuit with the company in a Texas court. The company's website called it their most famous victory. And their argument is actually pretty compelling, because what they're saying is that it's protected by the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects the freedom of speech from all abridgment, including indirect censorship efforts like this one. And states aren't allowed to commandeer the federal government to do their unconstitutional bidding, even under the guise of statutory technicalities. So basically, they're saying that they should be allowed to distribute the blueprints for a 3D printed gun because it's protected by freedom of speech of the First Amendment. So now
that's like the anarchist cookbook.
Yeah. Yes, it is exactly like that. And
you can distribute it, right? But if you like buy it, you start getting watched.
They say the Trump administration broke a federal law when it reached a settlement allowing them to post the online digital blueprints for making weapons with a 3D printer. That's what the judge said. So, because they didn't give a proper explanation for why they reversed the Obama era position, and so basically, they reversed the decision, and then a judge has stepped in and said that they broke a federal law and they are not allowed to distribute it. So that company is now appealing that decision so that they can continue to. I don't know how they benefit from it unless they're selling it for money.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's necessary, like why they're benefiting. I think it's necessary, like how we're suffering.
Yeah. Well, what's their motive for what would be their motive for doing that? Oh
people just want, like, people put stuff out just to see it burn. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just
that's a good.
There's nothing wrong with somebody 3D printing a gun. It's how they use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with me, like, let's say I pirate some software, right? There's nothing wrong with me, like, doing that. But if I start making money off of it, then that's crazy, yeah.
And that's actually a good segue into that kind of talk, is whether that's legal or not. It's not illegal to download it, but it is illegal to distribute it. Interesting.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that goes back. Remember pirating back in the day? When people were like, yeah, well, if you're downloading it, it's not like illegal, but if you're uploading it, if you're the one distributing it, Oh, what is all this?
I just thought that was an interesting because we were talking about where's 3D printing going. If it can go anywhere you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into like 3D printing like people in the future.
Yeah.
I mean,
They should use 3D printing for prosthetics. That's a really good way that people could get prosthetic limbs for cheap, customized and exact specifications of their original limbs.
yeah, you go to a dentist, and they make a mold of when they're doing fillings and caps and all that. Or no, let's say you
3D,
chip a tooth, right?
3D printed teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, you can 3D print teeth and yeah. I mean, you can 3D print, like you said, prosthetics, hip replacements. I mean, what's to stop them from just doing that right there?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's as many benefits as there are like concerns, I guess you could say.
Well, the logistics of like 3D printing up prosthetics would be awesome. I mean, think about like in a war scenario. I always bring it back to war for some reason. I have like
you love war, but that's why.
But like you get like your limb blown off, and then like 3D print you an arm right there on the spot, like stick it back on your severed limb, and you like get right back into action. Or they could just 3D print organs. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Anything in general.
Yeah,
I mean, that's always
use some organic material and 3D print organs. I mean, it's the technology. I always bring everything back to the singularity, which is the point where like technology advances exponentially until it's limitless, and that's as far as I know is going to be caused by AI that like thinks together and then thinks on its own and then like gets smarter on its own, because it can exponentially like increase its own intelligence, and that would create a singularity. Anyways, once that happens, 3D printing is going to be able to do like whatever, right? All technology.
3D print your car, 3D print your
Well, you can 3D print from different substrates and materials. If they can find a way to 3D print metal.
Yeah, 3D printing metal, I think, is the hardest part, but I don't see how it's impossible. I mean, all you have to do is like superheat the metal.
Sure.
And then just pipe it out just like plastic.
Right. And then they can make it in chemical. The breakdown of it could be more of a fiber type material where it's lighter and like a titanium. It's less dense and lighter.
Or aluminum. Aluminum's super cheap.
Which is the most abundant metal in the world, we've discussed.
Yep, 3D print aluminum air fuel cells. So this is all what happens if we get smarter, right? But we have that article from Wired about the dumb devices. The next article that we have chopped up, and this is Best Buy actually discontinuing some of their smart technology, their smart gadgets. They're like internet connected devices. So they're no longer going to be smart, essentially.
Wait,
and
what?
That's kind of the other side. Why? Because they pulled the plug on them. Verbatim for the article, but basically I think the software that's running it isn't going to be continued, so I think it's not going to be updated to keep up with like advancing internet technology.
I'd have to run the servers and all the infrastructure behind it to keep your smart camera staring at your living room while you're at work. And so if you're not one of the 2 or 3 companies that have the giant database of servers and cloud serving and all that, then because like here it looks like it's actually their lower end gadgets. They're insignia products. So but if you're buying from Philips, or you're buying from what's the Ring, those guys they're the ones that have all the infrastructure, and they're the ones doing the business. So it's interesting because you can't everything that's connected has to have a place for it to be connected to. even games turn off after a while.
Well, that's when you bring up servers is I think the biggest problem. Like there's what the device can do on its own, and then there's what it needs to communicate with a server for. And once you take away the server, what's left for some of these devices, I think they still kept, like the screen turns on and whatever is installed on the device itself. But I think like their webcam was gone.
Yeah.
Like didn't work at all.
Yeah. If my webcam's not working on my refrigerator, we got a problem.
Yeah. I can't see the inside of my fridge when I'm out shopping.
Yeah. Then that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. And
it looks like it's personal cameras, though. I think it's all functional, like Dave said, stuff that watches your house. Things that are like security systems and stuff like that. I never understood that to begin with. Why would you have one camera in your living room watching your living room? I just don't like that. Why don't you have a private network watching your private property? Like right. I don't. Why would you save it on the third party's website? I'm glad they're shutting it down.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not a big proponent of that anyway, because I've always thought the house cam, all it's going to do for me is I get to watch them steal my stuff in real time, powerless from my remote location.
Yeah. You can alert authorities quicker.
Oh my God. I got to send you this video. I'm going to derail this entire conversation. But Doug Moreau did he does like this he works for Auto Trader, but he does YouTube videos where he talks about cars, and he did one for a Model 3 Tesla Performance. And I specifically directed it to Dave because it like he talks about all the little weirdy things that it does, and it's like exactly the type of car I would find you in. I don't know why you don't have one yet. I really have not wrapped my mind around this. But one of the things is the Sentry Mode. I think I told you about this. When you get close to the car, it starts recording. There's cameras everywhere around the Tesla, but it starts recording immediately when somebody gets within touching distance of the car. But the most funny thing about it is there's a screen that's about the size of your computer monitor, and it's the dashboard screen.
Yeah, they have a
what
tab.
It does is when you get within iShot, it says Sentry Mode activated, and that from Space Odyssey, like 2031 or whatever, because the movie with the AI robot that kills everybody, that screen comes up, that like little red lens, and it says like Sentry Mode's activated. And then it obviously notifies you on your phone that someone's close to your car. And they can't do anything because the car doesn't have a key. Tesla doesn't have any keys. So unless they're like computer geniuses, they're not going to get anywhere with their car. But it's funny. There's two modes, actually. And I don't want to spoil the second one, but one of them is Sentry Mode. And I thought that was like the coolest thing. It's like you get to like record the people around your car.
The cool thing about a Sentry Mode on a vehicle is, let's say you watch somebody key your car, right? And you're like, oh, well, fuck. All I could do was watch him key my car. Like, if you're in a park, you're mostly going to be in a parking lot in that situation. They're going to have to pull in or back out, right?
Yeah.
So you catch their plate.
Yeah. They come sneaking up. Well, they'll know it's a Tesla. They'll be like, that's Dave, and that's Dave's Tesla.
That's Dave's Tesla.
Yeah, and they'll know that it has. They'll know that.
Well, he said too, like if they blow your window out, let's say they try to get in your car and they do successfully shatter your window or something, your Tesla will notify you like immediately, like, oh, something's going on. And if if you're within like any significant amount of distance, you can either confront them or
But you can see it on camera, so you know it's not a cat that just jumped on your hood. Set off your
leave
sensor.
your car.
Back when I used to have my super stereo in my little Toyota Tacoma, I had the most sensitive alarm that you could ever imagine. And anybody, if a dump truck drove by, that thing was beep, 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 beep. That was the most annoying thing in the world, but it worked.
There was almost nothing more upsetting to me when I walked out to my car one day than like seeing like cat or like squirrel, like paw prints on my hood. God, what are you gonna do? Right? Like sit there with like a pellet gun for the next like 3 weeks till the same little like rodent tries to like put little micro scratches in my hood? Ugh,
right,
bastards.
Oh, so call me when Tesla uses their batteries to put out a low voltage shock that really doesn't hurt anything, but it get a cat right off your hood in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Then they go tell all the other cats and all the other squirrels in the neighborhood.
to stay off of that Tesla.
I would
Yeah.
instantly up that voltage until it like paralyzed.
All I can see is like a 2-year-old kid in a
Yeah.
parking lot swiping the side of your Tesla and getting like blown into the neighboring car's quarter panel at like a lightning bolt speed.
looks like
Shorting
like,
out, like lights are flickering in the
Alone.
parking lot. Like.
Home Alone
Your
when
neighbor's
Marv
blown
grabs the
back into you.
sink.
Yeah. Find your neighbor all burnt in the middle of your yard.
Tesla battery doesn't work anymore because every amp that was ever in there was sent in your neighbor's body.
Walk out there and I would still walk out and laugh so hard though. I'd love it. What were you doing touching my car?
That's what you get for touching my car. I knew it was you.
Speaking of cars, let's transition over to that. I put 2 cars on the list this week, and just let me know what you think of the Roma in terms of how it looks.
Is the Roma the McLaren Roadster?
No, that's the Elva.
Ew.
The Roma is the Ferrari.
For some reason that link didn't
Roma.
open. That's weird. Let me find that.
New Ferrari has a swoopy and classy road trip supercar. I like that. I like that a lot.
It looks. You know what I don't like is the interior.
What's that? You know what? It looks like that spaceship in that movie I saw when I was a kid. What was that movie? There's a kid with a spaceship with like a liquid kind of a door to it. What the?
That's
heck?
Smallville.
No, it was a movie. Yeah, something like that. But it reminds me of that
Like a
spaceship.
pod.
Yeah, it's cool. I like
What
it.
is-
I like it. Just glance.
Wow, there's like a mini screen on the right, on the passenger side, that they have like the music and they can like operate that. I don't like the interior. I'm not a big fan
No,
because it's like too encapsulating, like too like snug.
yeah.
And Ferrari's always been terrible with their steering wheels, like all the buttons and everything. Like, what's that knob
Yeah.
on? What is that knob doing there?
That's the drive. It's how the race mode.
Yeah.
All that
I gotta
is
have that
does.
like right there.
Yeah, the shift mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this guy does
Um,
paddle shifters, no doubt. That's how you shift.
Oh yeah, that's got posi traction, posi shifties on the back of it for sure. Is this a full electric car? I'm
No.
imagining.
No.
It's not. Oh wow. Ferrari hasn't done that yet.
Hey, they just lost you, huh? It's not
Yeah,
electric.
It's
Done.
mid front
No,
mounted.
I like it though. It's got kind of a Porsche back end, doesn't it? A little bit. I don't know.
It looks a little Porsche.
Towards
It's a little
back.
And then the
Sleek.
clutch transmission is placed at the rear axle for weight distribution.
That's a snobby Porsche thing, though. That's pure Porsche snob. That's
Ferrari.
they're the type of people that'll tell, or Ferrari, sorry. They're the type of people that'll tell you. Porsche is the type of person that won't tell you. That's the
Yeah.
difference. That's what I was trying to get at. Ferrari will be like, we put our clutch in the back for weight distribution so we can get a closer 1-to-1 scale. And then Porsche will be like, we're not telling you anything about what we're doing. And
Like that
that's the way
grill.
that is.
That car from an
Yeah.
outside is beautiful though.
It is nice.
Those rims
Right.
and that grill.
I don't like how you're like coupled apart like that.
That's what I
Like
mean.
you're
Yeah, it's too
individually
encapsulated.
cockpitted. Really
Yeah.
strange.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, very. Oh no.
Yeah.
When you die, they cut the car in half and
Oh, yeah.
bury you
You
separately.
drop your phone into the other side of the passenger seat.
Yeah,
Just-
no.
Damn it. You're gonna wreck trying to crawl over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's supposed to be like a road trip car too, which is even
I could see that.
well. That's why I hate that like design for the interior because it's not a comfortable like you're just stuck like there.
Well, see, everybody's got some proprietary middle console, and I've always wondered why don't they just stick an iPad in the middle of a console of a car? It's thin, it's light, and it's
Well,
the most
iPad is
powerful thing.
proprietary too.
But think about it. You think about all these. You get like
Not
the new
to them,
BMWs.
but-
They have these slate things that are on the dash, and they're 2 inches thick, and they don't have the same resolution. They don't
Yeah.
have the same contrast. They're not fast. They're sluggish. And I mean, it doesn't have to be an iPad, but if they have the technology to make an iPad that quick and that fast, that sleek, why can't they put a 12-inch touchscreen in every car for $500?
With the same program, would you like the same program?
I use Apple CarPlay, and I think it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, in all honesty, I would rather have an Apple device
Universal
in my car than I would an Android device, because I feel like the Apple's so simplistic. They just keep it. It's just bare bones all the time.
See, that's
so
what
you would be really.
me. Yeah.
It'd be really easy when you're driving around. It's really simple to use. You're not like, oh, what menu is this? Where am I going? Like going into a rabbit hole trying to figure out what your screen color is. It's like,
well, it's ubiquitous. It's so like when I travel, and I travel a lot, I pick a car with Apple CarPlay, because any car I pick with Apple CarPlay has the exact interface that I had in every car that I was in. So I'm in a foreign place. I don't have to figure out what their mapping system looks like. It's playing my music off my phone. It's plug and play. It's instantaneous. And I just always been boggled by why they keep forcing proprietary technology on something that's readily available right there. So I don't know. Just me. I looked at the middle
proprietary.
Of this console.
That's it.
Yeah, so they can control.
So they can put the Ferrari badge on the top of it, and
because that doesn't seem as intuitive or even as advanced as a 5-inch iPad that I'm looking at here.
It's probably not. You don't, and that's
it might
sad
have
part is you don't.
It might have special hardware.
Sure, yeah,
it doesn't. They don't believe in it at all. That shit it's junk. They put it in for flash. What you pay for is the name and the hood. What's underneath the hood. That's it. Everything else in that car is like it's nuances, and it's like it's Italian leather, and it's this, that, and the
Stitched
third. But the
by hand
technology
from someone's grandma that just made tomato paste.
Yeah, those seats do look very comfortable.
You know what I don't like is that middle armrest looks so small.
Yeah, it looks way high.
You both couldn't. Yeah.
No.
You won't be using that.
No. Well, this car's you're supposed to be holding on for dear life the whole time.
10 and 2, buddy. 10 and 2. Well, it's a flappy paddle shifter. So you have to have 10 and 2 for gear changes. It looks so good from the outside, though.
It reminds me of a Jaguar. That's actually what I was trying to figure out. It reminds me a lot of
a little bit.
That's it.
The XJ.
Or a Porsche.
You might
a little mix of both.
Yeah, you may have went after the Porsche a bit, like a Cayman. Porsche.
Let's take a look at
have a Porsche, though.
The Elva, and the link takes you to the Google, but there's another link on that if you click on Elva. The
Elva looks like the type of thing they bury you in when you crash. You don't live.
Dude, that thing looks so good.
Chop top coupe. It does look good. McLaren knows how to make a car too. You want a car. That's it.
Oh,
there's no windscreen.
Yeah. It looks like the Batmobile. What's that?
Oh yeah.
There's just no windscreen. What do you do?
No, there's a windscreen. They have to by law have one. I don't think they put one in the concept, but you have to have one.
What if it like? Yeah.
I don't see a windscreen there. You can be eating bugs. You get tagged in the face by a bee and it's over.
Yeah.
So there's a funny Doug Marone, obviously the same guy. He was talking about what McLaren was it? Was it the P1? I think it was the P1. So they have to
or the Senna.
There's a delineation between the trunk space and like something to do with like federal laws in the United States. So what they created, I can't remember the logistics of what it was, but they created a divider that slides between the trunk space and the center, and it legally passes like road standards for the United States. But they had to build it that way. But it serves zero purpose other than to make the car legal on the street. And I can't remember what it is specifically, but they have to have that. And so like they do these really weird quirks where they like add like certain things in weird places just to pass like the emission test or whatever it is, or to pass the road regulations. But like there's all these really weird things that they have to do. And McLaren does it a lot because they build their cars specifically for speed. Like racing is their first choice long before comfort and luxury. They're all about the speed. Like all they care about is getting that car as fast as humanly possible.
Well, that's why this one is the lightest road car they've ever made with a Senna engine.
Oh, oof. Yeah, you want to talk about nutty. That thing's
804
terrifying.
horsepower.
Oh, God. With no windscreen. It's like driving a go-kart at 250 miles an hour.
It says you can specify a windscreen, or you can wear helmets.
Oh, yeah. With
you can choose.
Visors. Yeah, there you go.
The
roll
120,
bar
0 to 124 in 6.7 seconds.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But which would you rather have? Like in terms of style, what are you taking?
The McLaren over the Ferrari.
No,
easily.
I think I like the Ferrari.
You get comfort in excess with the Ferrari. You do get that, but raw like head turning power all day
and
all
looks.
Day. That McLaren will dust.
That McLaren looks like nothing else. McLarens look different. Like if you talk about like Ferrari and Lamborghini look different. Like McLaren, Ferrari, and Lamborghini all look different, and Porsche looks different. Like they all look different, but that Ferrari, like Epic said, looks kind of like a Jaguar or a little bit like a Porsche. It's got the rounded, like beetle back, and it's good looking the way they've done it, but it's not different enough for like head turning.
It doesn't look as sassy as this thing. It looks like a McLaren. It just looks like a McLaren coupe with a chop top.
Well, it's faster, under 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's like neck jarring. You're under 3 seconds there to 60s. Eek.
I bet just like every McLaren, that's going to be like a hazard to drive. And just like every Ferrari, I bet you that's going to be a dream.
Ferrari teaches you how to drive their cars. Do you know that?
Really?
You buy a Ferrari, yeah, you have to go to the I don't know if it's any particular Ferrari, but like when you bought the Enzos and the LaFerrari, they flew you to Italy and they let you test it on their test track before you drove it. It's because they want to ensure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. So they run you on a course with it so that you learn how to actually handle the car, because it's too much car for a normal human being. There's way too much power there. Like you'll be behind yourself and in front of yourself again before you know it. Like in circles, just all raw power that those things have. It's crazy.
I'm about it. I would do that in a heartbeat. Go test
on a side note too, on the P1, you actually can't work on the engine on a P1. They don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to work on either of these engines.
They don't let you.
You guys got to go to like Vegas and try out the exotics racing place.
I thought about that, but I think they mostly give you automatic. I want a manual.
I took a Lamborghini Gallardo and put it sideways. And it was fun.
Did you drift it, or did you like?
Yeah,
put it sideways on accident.
No, I did. I did. I was playing. It was like I was playing Forza. It felt so much the same. No, they give you 5 laps, and by the 5th one, you're tearing into it like nobody's. You're going 130 miles an hour around corners. You're just getting it. It's not an oval. It's not an oval track. It's a racetrack.
That was automatic though. Gearbox?
It's an automatic. Well, it's an automatic manual paddle shift. So it's automatic, but
you don't have to clutch.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is they have like governors in there, so you can't drop the bottom out of it. You can't. It's manual, but automatic doesn't let you like drop it into first when the RPMs won't be able to handle it.
You don't have to worry about ruining it.
No, it's an intelligent standard. Really, is how it boils
down to. That's Lamborghini tech for sure. Yeah, and put a lot of money in that.
Wait, what's cool is you go there and they have all the cars, and you pick whichever car you want.
Yeah, I thought about that at one point. I was like, that'd be.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list.
I want a GT3 RS for sure. I'd be putting that Porsche to its dog, dude. And you can't. Those things suck the corners down, and they do dumb speed. Like
that's what you do. You want to buy, if you have the money to buy one of these, between Lamborghini and Ferrari, you go to those places, and you know what I mean. You try them all, and then before you drop your $500,000 on something, then you can. It's not $300 isn't a drop in the bucket for someone who's buying one.
That's always been like it's always been appealing to me is the rappers that have these high end like Murciélagos and stuff. It's like you don't even like I can't imagine they know what they're doing with that. Like
no,
that's a lot of power, man. Like
and it's probably not even
to grade them. It just blows my mind. Like, you come from driving Cutlasses around, and then you're like in a car that has launch control and has
SUVs,
$300,000 worth of like technology in its engine to keep that car going at rapid speeds. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and then they do, but I've driven fast cars, but I've never driven them as fast as that McLaren or this Ferrari here. That's on another level. That's when you push the gas down and you're like you said, the back goes flying out from behind you at a light.
It tries to get in front of you. Yeah, you're like, whoa, what?
And everybody sees you spinning down the road at the stoplight. All your neighbors. Feel like that dumbass.
Well, watching those videos, that guy does where he talks about the cars. He's like, he talks about power, and he's like, some of those cars, like the P1 and the LaFerrari, he's like, you almost feel no end to it. He's like, you can go half mass on the pedal, and you're like, oh no, that's a lot. And you go a little bit more, and you're like, oh whoa. And you go a little bit more, and you're like, oh god. And it never feels like it's ending. There's power there all the time. Like it's never like, oh, no, I got to get through this light as you punch your foot through your floorboard and your car slowly picks up. It's like you push and it's there and it's all the way there. And you better be ready to rock because it's going to take you wherever you want to go really, really fast.
You have to know how much you need when you're trying to get to that light. Like if you were to punch it through the floor, you'd end your life.
In the back of the Camry in front of you. Like it's so fast.
About an inch of depression here in order to get through this light with ease. Wow! And it's just it's incredible. I would like
imagine on the freeway. I'd be a terror. You could cut people off, like jam on your brakes, flip them off, and then punch it and be gone. They'd be like no idea what's going on. But they cut you off, and you're like, oh really? You get in front of them, stop your brakes, flip them off, and power out of it all at the same time.
You'd stop so fast too. You'd have like those brakes are like. It's not just the engine that they put like into those cars. Those brakes are incredible.
Well, and you're gonna be spending how much you spend on tires in these kind of cars because you can't control your lead foot. I mean the tires. You're gonna spend $2,000 on tires every 6 months just from driving the thing around town.
I wish I had a bottomless bank account because I would like do so many. I would do so many crazy things. Like I would buy one of these cars and like you said, I'd be replacing the wheels like every couple of days. Get those suckers sideways on the like city streets.
So at that place,
pay that off.
At the exotics racing thing, they have a guy there that he does he takes people on rides in a Corvette, and it's the ride of your life. But they go through 10 sets of tires in a day.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're driving these things as hard as they go, you'll ruin a pair of tires in a day, in a week.
Yeah, in one day.
That's nuts, and that's fun. That's good stuff.
That's fun though. That's crazy. All right, let's take a look at some old cars. I got that barn find, which I loved because I've played so much Forza and they always have like barn finds, but this is a real life situation, and I'm starting to get these articles more often where they're getting all these old cars up for auction.
Firebirds.
Yeah, the old large collection of Pontiac Firebirds uncovered. I would love, I don't know, something about an old car. I would rather buy like a $15,000 classic old car than buy like a $250,000 like sports car. Something about like doing that is more impressive to me than just buying it off a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like fixing up a Firebird and like maintaining it myself.
Yeah, they're raw, like metal heavy, classical, like gargly.
It talks more about you than
filter
owning a Ferrari does. You know what I'm saying? Like it speaks many more words to have like a classic that you've like maintained and like drive, than it does to just have like a flashy $300,000 car that you don't have to do anything with other than like all you do is drive that car. Like okay, he has a lot of money is like all that says.
A lot of those cars too. I don't think Ferraris are meant to last 10 years. I don't think
No,
like you could
I
put
don't even
40,000
know.
miles on a Ferrari and that's like a problem. I don't think I've ever heard of a Ferrari or Lamborghini with more than 150
Like,
or
yeah,
100,000 miles to begin with. Even the older ones don't get that high, and they're
maybe
old.
Maybe I'll try and look up an article about that for next week. Because like I would be, yeah. How long do you actually hold on to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and how much do you use it while you have it? Like, what about a rust? Like, do they get rusty? I mean,
Right.
what happens to a 10-year-old like?
Well, it depends on where you are.
Gallardo.
You're out in the Southwest, and old cars are everywhere because they don't rust. You go back east where there's snow and salt, and
trust me,
they're a treasure trove. Yeah, you gotta
I know all about that.
Come where the sun shines and find yourself a new old Pontiac Firebird. Or did you guys see the new Breaking Bad movie?
El Camino.
El Camino.
You watched that, by the way? Have you seen it?
Yeah, it was good.
Maybe I'll talk about that in the rant because that movie sucks.
He's got the whoa. Here we go. No, but he's got the, before you tell me how much the movie sucks, but what is it? The Pontiac, what is that? The car he has in the
It's an El Camino.
No, it's the other one.
Fiero?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The Pontiac Fiero. That brought up some like nostalgia for me because when I was a kid, I thought the Pontiac Fiero was the most amazing thing in the world, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cars that can't stand the test of time, and that car was awesome for about 5 years, and you couldn't be caught dead in one if you can find one working today, right?
Yeah,
had the pop-up lights, and
they lit on fire like crazy. They're mid-engine terrors.
I just reminded me of that.
That where he gets the Fiero, the house that he goes to, is like 12 houses from my grand. It's up the street. It's on my grandma's street. Like literally, like that's like you go up the road a couple of houses and there's that house. It's pretty funny. I was all whoa. I was like trying to figure it out when we were watching it the other night, and lo and behold, found out where it was.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's like nice. It's good to see Albuquerque and the ghetto Northeast Heights all ghetto.
That website there actually has like auctions for those Pontiacs.
For the Firebird?
For the Firebirds. Yeah, but I think they'll offer out like auction off more than just that. Oh yeah, they have a 1980 Maserati Quadriporte, which I've never heard of. Asking price is $11,000 for like an old Maserati. 1980 Maserati.
So would you fix it up like original, or would you put in a touch screen monitor inside there with some fuel injecting? Would you keep it old on the outside but new on the inside?
Sometimes I think I'd like to have a classic, and I think I'd like to have a sleeper classic with like a Hellcat freight engine, you know.
Inside.
Yeah.
I have a Hellcat.
I wonder if there's a way to like search. Oh yeah, search this website, Fiero. I don't know if I spelled Fiero right. Not great with the spelling.
Formula Fiero.
They're just like the MR2s.
Just like the MR2s. Which are nice. Both
1986
cars.
Pontiac
nice on the
Fiero.
Outside. Whoa.
1984 Pontiac Fiero EV.
Yeah, show us. Take us back. Take us back to the... I just remember when I was a kid, I was like, that is the most amazing car. And it was like a $15,000 car.
Listed on Craigslist for $2,600.
Sold.
With like a red and white interior. Yeah, I'm all about the like old cars. It's like I was saying, it says so much more about you that you like are mechanically inclined, that you
if you have a Fiero,
like, a passion for it.
Probably have bad credit. It's another Fiero park. I don't want a Fiero.
But see, now if you're not mechanically inclined, then those cars are terrifying. You know, you're like, if you don't, I wouldn't know where to begin with fixing a car like that. I could change the battery, the tires, maybe the oil, right? Or I could just buy myself a new Ferrari and have them fly me out and show me how to drive it. And
yeah, but again, all that says is that you have money.
Yeah.
Like you like to show it.
Yeah.
But if you buy a Fiero and fix it up, it means that you like have bad credit, but you like can work with it.
You know what I'm saying? To roll the dice.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Right.
You're rolling the dice every day you wake up. Pontiac Fieros remind me of like Detroit, Michigan, like mid-December.
Yeah,
outside.
And 100% of Fieros come with the pine cones for your rearview mirror. 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. All right, shall we switch it up to some gaming news?
Your favorite Stranded?
Yeah, we can start with that for sure.
Who's playing that movie / game?
Okay, so let's talk about how great people think it is first, and Kojima, and how great people think he is.
How great he is.
Nonsense. Yeah, sure.
Going a rant.
Yeah. So he was awarded 2 Guinness World Records for the most followed Twitter and Instagram accounts as a video game director. With Twitter being 2.8 million accounts following, and Instagram is 888,000 following.
Over John Carmack, I see. And Reggie Phil's AIM. How about Shigeru Miyamoto?
And I've talked about it before too, maybe not on the SSP, but I personally only know, like, I mostly only know the video game directors that I don't like.
Yeah,
so, like Cliff Bleszinski.
I only remember the ones I hate.
I only remember the ones I hate. And here he is, like, proving me wrong, which I hate even more about him.
Well, for what I heard that, like, somewhere else, that the product placement in Japan's like a big thing. They like that. Like, they're all about product placement.
Well, yeah, have you seen
like
that second article I have?
Like, yeah, go ahead.
The second article I have is all about his product placement. In the post-apocalyptic, like, other world that is Death Stranding, you can drink Monster Energy.
Well, none of it makes sense.
Exactly why this game is stupid. It doesn't make sense.
Well, even Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear anything, is convoluted and contrived. It doesn't have product placement. It doesn't make any sense. It's fragmented, overlong, like
notoriously overlong.
But the cutscenes and the dialogue and what is going on, right? And that's why I was going to contrast him with Shigeru Miyamoto, who is the founder of all Nintendo, Mario and Zelda, and those are two people that have opposite visions on what video games are, and that's perfectly fine. But I think it's great that we have both of them. One is playful, fun, instant gratification, and the other one is long. And I don't want to say long, but expose.
Yeah, they're long.
Long. You can tell by the companies that they work with. Like, okay, so Nintendo, like, all their games are meant for, like, quick, like, play, have fun.
Sure.
And then you look at Sony, and, like, all their games are, like, pretentious, shitty. No, they're all like slow, long developing stories with, like, beautiful graphics, and, like, they're meant to be, like, I don't know, like, show off games almost. And like not to say that they don't have good games, but what's that?
Yeah, all of their games are like that. They're always on display. They're always like these pieces of art and like weird direction that they tend to lie in the world of like how can we blow you back with awe-inspiring, scale and stuff like that.
It
They do
gets
like
tiring.
Shadow of the Colossus was like that. That was a good Sony game. IO is the same way.
Yeah.
Apparently, Death Stranding is a new example of that. Horizon Dawn was like that.
Yeah, Horizon Dawn for sure.
Graphically overhauled, like almost sort of congested.
I don't finish single player games.
Vision. Yeah,
like, did you ever finish Horizon Zero Dawn?
Never finished it.
No.
What about Assassin's Creed?
It was repetitive. Same thing. Those games are almost the same game, really.
Yeah.
The structure is almost. But I finished Grand Theft Auto, all of them. Right.
That's
because
why. Oh yeah, that's
they're
true.
fun.
I finished Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead.
Yeah. And
why?
But why? Why did you? Right? Because they have long stories that can sidetrack and branch off in all kinds of different directions. But I think it's because it speaks more to everybody than these games that speak more towards a specific group of people.
Well, I think it's more them speaking on their own and like hoping that they catch somebody listening. Like Death Stranding, like Kojima, I think he's not willing to sacrifice like what anybody else would think for like what he thinks, which is
that's
okay.
That's why people like him. They love him for his willingness to stick to what he believes in. That's why he no longer works for, is it Konami that gave him the boot?
But he's not Konami, but there's a difference between like making a game for everyone and making a game for like
for you.
Yeah.
It's the same with the Elder Scrolls series too. That's the same reason that you play Elder Scrolls and then they develop as you go, and it's new and inviting places, and they pull you. Like you get to a different town, and the world around the town is unique, and you're like, "Whoa, am I in the same place?" And then you go a little bit farther, and you're in a different place, and it's a different experience, and there's different cultures within the game's realms, and like people think differently in different towns, and there's secrets and mystery, and it's like you just keep getting snowballed down this like
you feel like the game's giving you things.
Well, it's because they're cohesive, and it all comes together. Where a Kojima game is convoluted, and each part of it is fragmented and segmented from each other individual part. It's like 20 different games glued together to create one game. You have the story, the expose, this long 30-minute cutscene that rarely makes much sense, and then you're thrown into the game where you're fighting controls that aren't intuitive at all, and then you're back into a cutscene, and then you're in a whole nother area where these games, Grand Theft Auto, Elder Scrolls, they use regular systems. You're not fighting the controls. Everyone knows how to play them. All the buttons are the same in each of the games, and they focus on the cohesion of the story, the plot, the apex and resolution, and they're telling a story like a movie actually would. I think he's telling a story like a sci-fi novel might. Yeah, like he wants, like you said.
He's envisioned a story, and he wants to put it out there the way he wants to, and that includes the gameplay. And I think with like GTA and Red Dead and Elder Scrolls is like they want to give people like things that like they enjoy the gift of giving.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh my god, people like I think this is cool, and everyone else is gonna think this is cool. And Kojima's like, I think this is cool, and he like puts it in the game. This is the way I think of Kojima.
Well, they're so rich. The Grand Theft Auto games, Red Dead, obviously it's the same company, but they're so rich and deep, and there's so many things beyond what you're doing that are going on. You're walking down the street, and some lady's talking about having to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And that's why even put that in there, because it creates a true reality. And when you're in there, it's like you're in another place in time. I don't know that that's not what he's doing here. I feel like
I don't know.
He's
trying
to share his vision.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that tripped me up, like I said, was like the monster cans. I'm like, really? Monster? And then also like when you use the bathroom in that game, the toilet. Have you seen that? Where it like closes, and there's the ad for Norman Reedus's AMC show. Like what?
Yeah.
I would just be like, what?
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense.
And
we know what it.
You get a delivery mission for like pizza. You have to like deliver pizza. It's like totally like.
He likes
confusing.
to bend the rules and the norm, and he does it on purpose because games have become this like. It's almost become the input, get the output method of style of play, and he likes to get the input, and then what if we like flip flop it and pull it out wet, and then dry it off, and then wet it again, and then put it back in, and then take it out again, and like do it. He's a true artist in that form, I guess, because he's doing what he wants. And Sony paid him. They gave him a blank check to do this game. So
yeah,
but
he
talking
really got
about
to do what he wanted. Dave's cohesion is like you can't tell if the game's serious or like kind of joking. You know what I'm saying? It's like
a parody of itself.
Yeah, it's like a parody. Yeah, it's like a parody within like really serious moments.
I think
like
that's
sometimes
just Japanese culture as a whole, though. I don't think we fully understand how Japanese culture is, but I think their pop culture, like millennial-minded people that are over there, are into this like crazy. And Japan's as strange as it is, and they're just a whole weird country to begin with. You probably
totally different culturally.
Fits right on in.
We're getting there, though. We're getting weird ourselves. So honestly,
we're the most like cynical like. Lot of people, like nothing can be taken seriously, and especially when it comes to like
the internet,
pop culture on the internet. It's just
I hate it.
Chaos.
Like, why can we not just like satire accounts on Twitter? And it's just I lose myself in it.
Satire on Twitter.
Yeah, I hate it.
Twitter. I got away from social media because I found myself using it just to judge others, and I thought, well, I bet they're judging me too. And what is this? Do people really care about my?
That's because we're old. I would consider myself old because like that's the mentality of not like the new generation, I guess.
Okay, boomer.
Teddy Roosevelt actually had a great quote that I liked, and it was the comparison is the thief of joy. And that's really all social media has become, is a comparison contest. It's an outlet for comparison. It's all people are on there to do is compare themselves with other people. And studies will show that we're a depressed society that is record numbers of suicides and clinical depression, and I personally think it has to do with that.
Speaking of that, on the radio they were talking about suicides and like how men commit suicide versus women. It was actually
men use guns.
Yeah, 3D printed guns, mind you.
Yeah, nice.
So like talking about the social media aspect, that's Kojima's like now the biggest video game director on Instagram and Twitter, and it's like, what does that do to his ego? Little son of a, hate that guy.
It's a personal vendetta at this point.
I hate that guy.
Well, what is it about him that appeals to everybody? It's not just the Japanese, it's everybody, not everybody.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's the damn hipsters.
Oh, it's the hipsters. So far we blame the millennials, the boomers, the hipsters.
No, not the boomers. Boomers are fine.
Oh, the Japanese. That was one.
Boomers have no issues in this.
I think it's a Japanese culture, though. I don't think we fully understand what the Japanese culture is. We're never gonna understand Kojima because we're not Japanese and we weren't raised in Japan, and that's just the way that it is. He's the typical person from Japan. I feel like is exactly what Kojima is, and he made this game for them. Sony's huge in Japan. It's not as big as it is in Japan as it is here, and that's just the way that it is. As big as they are, they're bigger than Japan. They're huge. And
he has 3.7.
He didn't make it for us.
He has 3.7 million Twitter followers between his English and Japanese accounts. English is 2.8, and Japanese is 811,000 followers.
He's all from Americans.
There are articles.
Yeah, to us then.
There are articles though. We only follow him to like put him down. I swear. That's like why I follow Trump. oh yeah, sorry, I got like lost for a second. There are articles, I don't have them on here right now, but where Kojima's talking about the criticism that he's received from America, whereas Europe and Japan like have praised him. We don't understand him, and he agrees that we don't understand him. He's like, yeah, they don't understand my vision.
No.
At what point? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He's got an artist mind for sure, where he's set on what he wants to see, and he sees it, and then he's like done. And
Well, I think he has a good place in gaming because I think he brings out new ideas. And
Yeah.
while we might not agree with his ideas or always appreciate them, he's an innovator. And so he's going to bring things that's going to make our favorite game better.
yeah,
Not
but what's like
necessarily his
innovative about his game, this new one?
The graphics, the real-time motion capture graphics, how the facial animations and the emotion, they're kind of getting closer to the uncanny valley.
Yeah, but is he taking credit for what someone else is developing? I mean, is he asking for this and someone else is developing it, but then he gets credited as?
What is your bone with Kojima?
I don't know, man. I just
Jesus Christ. Spent like 25 minutes talking about how you hate this guy so fucking much. I don't know what he did to you. I don't know if he like sent you nudes and then like never fucking talked to you when you sent him.
I wish that
your
was
nudes.
it.
I have no idea what's going on.
You know what? You know what my problem with Kojima is like this. It's not him. It's the culture of like grabbing onto something that. I mean, it all boils down to, personal opinion too. So it's just my bone with him. I'm not saying everybody else has to have the same bone. I'm just voicing my opinions on it. Just like people hang on to these things that I like. Oh, he's so great at innovating and all that, and like he brings these new things to the table. It's like I don't think it's him, man. He's just some crazy guy, and people. It's like Musk. He's just some crazy guy that like spits it out and has like enough knowledge to like know that it's possible, but like somebody else is getting it done.
I feel like Elon Musk is a millennial with a lot of money, and he got to do everything that he wanted. The Teslas are like a prime example of like all the weird things that they do and the shit that they have in them is just like you're like what, but you get it because you're like, oh, okay, he's as old as I am, and if I had the ability to build my own car, that's what I would do too because it's exactly the same. There's just really strange things in those cars that you're like, you would never understand why in the world anyone would do it. It's so off
like the whoopee cushion.
Norm. Yeah, it's off the beaten path of what the norm is, though. Like the cars don't have center consoles. Everything's in the center screen. Like there's nothing. It's just a steering wheel. They don't have multiple buttons. There's only 2 pedals. It's simplistic. It's what you need, but it's everything that you could possibly need at the same time. It's like it's crazy. You look at that Ferrari, and that Ferrari center console is like 35 buttons, and the Tesla only has like 2 buttons in the entire car, and that's on the steering wheel, and they're multi-function buttons depending on what the software on the screen is showing. And it's like that's innovation in my mind, and that's what I would have my car have, because why would I want 45 buttons? Like, why do I only need a button for every feature in the car? Just have the screen do it for me. It's simple that way.
So we agree Musk is great and Kojima's
he's
not
a
so
nutcase. Don't get me wrong.
That's a great that's touche. That's a great comparison actually. Really good. Huh. Did you know that Elon Musk is actually designing factories that turn CO2 into oxygen?
Yeah, he's taking every bit of his wealth and just stuffing it into like
the world.
Every nook and cranny of changing the world around his fast. He wants to make that giant belt loop thing where you sit in the cylinder like in the bank and you get shot at 700 miles an hour into the next visiting town in like minutes.
Yeah, that's why he created the Boring Company, so he could like build the tunnels to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's doing all kinds of stuff. Still got his car floating around space, circling the Earth.
It's not circling the Earth.
It's circling the space station. What's it doing up there?
No, he just shot it out, didn't he? Mars?
Oh,
Oh,
is
he
it
shot
Mars?
it to Mars.
No, he
I
shot
don't
it
know.
past Mars. He just shot it out, I think. I don't think
Still.
it's. I think he just sent it out to go out.
He's just
He just
fucking ship
just
it off
go
somewhere.
all the way out, as far out as possible. I think. I think the last time I saw an update was it passed Mars.
1 million. Well, he's over 1 million miles. Huh.
Just out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plans for
All right.
Valentine's Day.
I'll stop ranting about Kojima for this week.
No,
do
but
we want to
okay.
talk
So
about
let me stick with my Elon Musk for 1 second, okay? Because he does it's the oxygen, it's the turning CO2 into oxygen. What does that, right? Plants.
Yeah.
So what would we do to the earth if we had a machine that would do what plants do? What do we do with the plants? We don't need them anymore, right? We're gonna wipe this planet clean.
I think he's doing it to like supplement what we've like deforested, right?
Everything starts with a good intention. I'm sure the splitting of the atom was done with the best of intentions.
What's your problem with Musk?
I'm not saying.
Why don't you have a Tesla? Because you hate him?
No. I'm just saying. I'm saying is just anything. Don't you see the writing on the wall on that one? When I heard it, my kid told me about it, and then I thought about that. I was like, well, if they have something that does the job of plants, then what do they need plants for?
What do we need plants for? Well,
that's right. So
paper.
Chop them all down. Yeah. Well,
we don't even need paper anymore.
We don't need paper.
What do we need no plants for then? What are we gonna do?
Houses,
make them into houses, fiber, fiber to be 3D printed.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got all the CO2 being cleaned up. We could just light the whole world on fire and clean it right up. I don't know. It freaked me out. When I heard that, I said,
"Yeah, it's a scary thought." Because
we need space.
Who controls the CO2 changes?
And who says how much CO2? Who says how much oxygen is good for you? And you know what I mean? Well, suddenly everybody's really awake or really sleepy, and they're just.
What will that do to the weather?
It's the gas. It's the same situation with fossil fuels. Like who controls the fossil fuels controls the world, and that's slowly slipping. Because
what if we accidentally overcleaned
social media controls the world?
What if we overclean greenhouse gases and we create a global cooling that causes an ice age?
Or you create some kind of methane gas because your CO2 eats methane, and
or you create liquid aluminum
air fuel cells,
fuel cells, and fucking change the face. Something bad's happening. Whenever there's money involved.
We can't just be happy every time we come up with a good world-changing thing. We're like, wait, no, it's all bad.
It stinks. Yeah. We're gonna be back on horse and buggy in a decade.
To keep our minds off of that, I think video games are my go-to. The Call of Duty announcement.
I can't load that page. I refuse to accept their cookie policies.
Load it. Send them the cookies. They want chocolate chip and fucking ginger snap. Okay, this will be quick. This is a quick announcement about Modern Warfare has a leak, supposedly saying that as it stands in the files for the game, there is a BR mode and it has 200 players. It's set up for 200 players. It's going to have Overgrown and Quarry as part of, as well as a bunch of other old maps. And I think maybe some new parts, obviously, too.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
200 players is going to be stupid. I'm just going to say it.
I'm just thinking, being the worst video game player ever, that I'm going to die 30 seconds into this match, and I got to wait for 200 people to get killed. That's going to be tough sledding for anybody that's not a diehard fan.
Yeah, the queues are going to be pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
People.
I mean, how long will those matches last? Twice as long as 100.
How far is this going to go, though? What? Here we go again. There's going to be CO2 commission or CO2 emission transfers. When are we going to? We're going to have 1,000 player BR games here soon because it's only going to ramp up. If Call of Duty's engine's doing it, EA's looking at DICE with like a gun to their head, like you're gonna have 350 people by the end of the year, or else. And it's like, oh no, here we go, because it's gonna spiral out of control, and then BRs are gonna die from it, and they're gonna have 30-player BR games where they're talking about how we're focused more on the player-to-player engagement than we are the mass chaos that's going to ensue. I think it's a cool idea. I like 200 players. That's going to be pretty cool. Depends on how big the map is and what they're going to do with it. But
check this part out, though. You can respawn. When you die, you go to a 1-on-1 match.
Jesus
Winner
Christ.
respawns.
All right, I'm done.
I'm gonna die in that one-on-one match.
Yeah, when you die, you go to a loser bracket BR match, and then when you die again, you go to a purgatory BR match, and then when you die again, you have to fight the gatekeeper for heaven or hell, and then that's where you find your place in the end of the BR.
Wow. Check this Gulag prison camp 1-on-1 situation is like even crazier. It acts as a King of Hill style gauntlet, meaning players in the Gulag queue will spectate the players who are currently fighting. There will be a countdown on the screen indicating how many rounds are left until you fight. And there will be a jailbreak every so often, which kicks out all the players and back into the match. And you can place bets on the players who are fighting.
You know,
using
it'd be
plunder.
Like a good BR mode. Like, you know how we played that, what was that prison game that we played? You're the inmates?
Scum?
That'd be a cool BR, you create your character, you get dropped in, and then like the circle closes, but it closes over a longer swath of time, and you have to like just typical BR gear up, but you're like an inmate, and more inmates are getting released in like time sequences throughout the matches with different gear. Like I think just over a span of time rather than.
I think my problem with BRs is the span of time. You have to be
That
like
makes them a BR, right? That's the purpose of the BR. Is nothing's the same, everything's unique, all the experiences are different. You're forced into like split second decision making rather.
Isn't that what it is like as it is? Just like an indefinite BR?
Yeah, they're just adding like how can we convolute the BR experience more? That's why I don't play the.
How can we convolute? They get together. They're like, this is messed up. How can we make it worse?
Yeah, it's just like Fortnite. It's the same thing. Like they added suction cup cars, and then they added mechs, and then they added belt loops or whatever those things are. It's like they just keep stuffing. It's like you have to do something, right? Because if it's the same old game, people are going to get bored of it. But but it's like, to what point? What extent are you going to just keep doing this? Because it's just getting nuts now. Now they're going to have. You go to a purgatory gulag after you die to fight for a position in a game that was designed around instant split-second decision-making. Then and there, at the moment, then you're done, and you start over if you fail. Well, people that make it in the end, either they're by luck or by skill.
The new players can't get in, they can't join, they can't.
That's what happened to Call of Duty to begin with.
Yeah, there's no leeway for the systems are too complicated. Not pick up and play. That's what made Fortnite so great to begin with. Is kids could get a free game that was pick up and play, and they understood it immediately. That's
why my grandma didn't know how to play a DVD. We're just getting too convoluted,
right?
Oh, grandma.
No, that's why they have problems with smartphones. I mean, older people have problems with smartphones because it's like. When you come from like dial the number and like you're talking to the person that you want, or like they don't answer and they're not home, like that was all there was.
They fixed that problem because they just announced the new Motorola Razr flip phone.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, so old people
Stupid
now
phone.
can
have trouble with two screens.
I don't understand why computer cars don't have iPads and every one of their center consoles because they're so simple to use. Oh no, it's just fucking weird. Old
people actually have a problem with touchscreens because they don't have enough moisture in their fingers.
Whoa.
In case you didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. Is that a scientific? Is that a scientific?
Yeah,
phenomenon?
that's a scientific. Yeah, that's a scientific phenomenon. They actually can't operate touchscreens very well because their fingers like don't actually trigger it like very well. Just so you
They
know.
don't have enough. They don't have enough electrical.
Not that they would
impulses.
understand it if they could. You know what I'm saying?
Man, why can't some people use a touchscreen? I'm googling that because I don't know.
You think that's bullshit?
I don't know. I won't just jump out and
We'll
say
need
it.
to create a giant furnace for all the old people, and we'll just throw them in there and cook them up. We'll put them in. We'll burn them up and turn them into CO2, and then we'll fucking turn it into oxygen for the new youth of the world.
Okay, let's entertain that for a second. Let's say that's where we go. At what level is the cutoff for your chamber of elderly death?
55.
Start
at 55.
Yeah, right around 50, you're like, that 55, I could see it being 60. I could, and then
between the age, so we take 55 to 75-year-old people and we put them in a battle royale situation.
Wait, what about 75 plus? They just get the insta burn?
Yeah,
they won't live that long. That's the ticket. If you live to be 75, you're at the rung.
Can we
then you go to the Gulag tournament and then you fight to the death with other 75-year-old, and the winner of that gets to flip the switch and cook all of the old other people. And then they get pushed in by somebody. After they're done committing the crime, they do the time.
Really though, it is convoluted, and that's what happened to Call of Duty in the first place with perks. You know what I'm saying? And Gears. That's what happened in Gears. Is like it just got convoluted. Like now I'm like trying to load out, and like when do I get this stuff? And
we're talking to those Mordau pros and the ex Chivalry pros and asking them like, why doesn't the developer talk to you guys about what's necessary for the game? And, Gears of War does that, and Halo does that, and all of these, big budget Call of Duty games, they talk to the professionals and they ask them the nuances and stuff. But the overall reason that they don't necessarily change to what the pros want is because the pros are like 1% of the population of who's actually going to play their game 9 times out of 10. Or not, I wouldn't say, because they're always playing. The pros are always playing because they're that good. But the people, the mass general population is who they have to target, and that's why those games have that. And it's this constant development to keep people engaged and get people to buy it. Like Rainbow Six Siege, there's 450,000 people on every day or something like that. 250,000 concurrent players, and only 1,100 or 1,500 of them are in the top ELO, plat, or diamond tier rank. You think about that, that's like 1%. That's less than 1%. It's like 0.8% of the population of that game is in the top tier percent. They ask those people, though, like, what can we change about operators? What's an exploit? What do you think is going to be this? What do you think is going to be that? That doesn't mean that they stick with it, but more they change based off of what those players are using to exploit the game, because they know that the mass majority of the people will do that. And then they'll make their game suck. So they always have to try to keep up. But I mean, I don't like the BR idea. I don't like the complicating something that doesn't need to be complicated.
Right.
They should try to do more about.
They should try to do less with BRs. I think that's the way to go sometimes.
Yeah, I just revert with BRs in general. I'm already over that.
Well,
I'm already sick of it.
That's why I wish there was only like a 15-minute BR, like drop in, play, like you start with a weapon. It's just like, I wish it was just simple. Like you start with like an assault rifle and a pistol, and like you have 15 minutes until the circle closes. And maybe there's a few things around, it's like not much. It only changes like minor amounts of, like armor, but it's like, the max level would be like a level 1 armor in PUBG. You know what I'm saying? Like barely helps you, but it helps, It's not something you couldn't like if you have no level 3 armor versus someone that drops on level 3 armor. You know what I'm saying? I just think
that they should just not do what they're doing. Just stay the fuck out of that. Just get rid of it completely. Let the fucking thing die.
Let a BR game be a BR game, and let Call of Duty be Call of Duty.
Let Fortnite keep what it is. Like Fortnite run the scene and continue to be psycho and adding things that are every week or 6 weeks, whatever their seasons are. Just let it be them. Just
I
stick to Call of Duty. Go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Make Call of Duty simple again. That's it.
I really liked PUBG though. They just needed to.
PUBG shit. Don't ever say.
No, I liked PUBG because of the. I hated the engine and I hated the amount of RNG that they had, but the fact that they had like real feeling gun, more realistic feeling guns and like a realistic setting and like, that's kind of what Call of Duty chases after too. But they're like you saying, like they get so convoluted. I mean, there's going to be perks. There's going to be like, the gulag now, and it's just they're just going further and further into craziness. I think if we stripped it down to a more minimal situation, I think it'd be a more fun type of game mode. All right,
so you ready for the first SSP New Florida article? I thought this was actually pretty interesting. We caught this in the morning.
Oh, hey, one second. It's zombie fingers is the old people's fingers on something. Call it zombie fingers. It's not just an affliction of old people. All people have dry fingers, but I thought zombie fingers is pretty funny actually. It's actually an article from Consumer Reports of all places.
What is it? Blood?
I can
what
hear
is it?
some
Blood
girl,
flow?
like some 20-year-old girl talking
it's
about.
dry fingers. Yeah. Do you have
Some
dry
old
fingers?
man put his zombie fingers inside of me.
It could be zombie finger. Yeah. Because it's conducted. Electrical conduction is what makes the phone work. So if you have no moisture in your finger, it's not conducting electricity. So yeah, I don't know that it's an old person affliction. But
the old
I think
bastards.
it's more common.
We would have to do some research to see if there's causality there.
Hang on.
The bony digit. The capacitive touchscreens must be nimble enough to recognize the dainty finger of a toddler or the bony digit of an elderly person. That's funny. Jeez Louise.
All right, go ahead, Epic. Lead us into New Florida.
All right. So I don't know if you heard this story. This was on the 15th, Dave, but this was here, and it's in Albuquerque. This is Albuquerque 101, like a typical Albuquerque crime. Couldn't have been better executed by anybody in the world. So, Albuquerque, New Mexico, man left the Northeast Albuquerque Gentlemen's Club last week, still owing hundreds of dollars in lap dance fees, which, when you think about it, it's the funniest thing in the world because I don't understand how they knew this, but they figured it out. Anyway. According, how do you put a price on a lap dance? Like I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, was it one breast or was it two breast? Because if it's a two breast lap dance,
we got 17.
You get your receipts right when you get lap dances.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I itemize all my lap dances.
It was 17 lap dances.
According to a criminal complaint, 21-year-old Milton Medina ran up a bill of about $510, having received, like you said, 17 lap dances at the Fantasy World Gentlemen's Club on the evening of November 8th. He allegedly was able to pay 160 of it and was owed what was owed while in the club, but told the dancer he had more money in his truck and needed to go get it. Once he was outside, Medina took off running on Jefferson Street towards the freeway. He left his car.
Did he? Did he walk in? Because they don't mention that he left his car.
I guess they didn't. Due to the club's policy of scanning every customer's driver's license upon entry, Medina was easily identified. A summons will be issued for the remaining $350 owed to the club.
Wait a minute. Is that standard policy for
there? It is,
for gentlemen club? Well, have you ever been to how many strip clubs have you been into?
I've been to this one.
Did you get your ID scanned?
I don't remember.
I've been to this one.
Oh, that's funny.
Milton, is that you?
Is that his picture? No.
Was that last night?
Milton. I knew you would.
I knew you would.
Is that your alias?
Yeah,
no. I mean, obviously, this might be a common occurrence, so they're taking steps to curb the dance and run. I don't know. What constitutes a lap dance? You got 17 of them from one lady. How does that? Every 5 minutes is another dance.
Whoa, yeah, 17. Yeah, how long is a lap dance? 5 minutes? 3 minutes? A song?
I'm sorry.
Right?
Who's keeping tabs? Who's like, is that 17 or 18? How many lap dances is that?
And more importantly, let's do some math here. 510 divided by 17. That's $30 a lap dance. That's kind of like, I don't know.
That's kind of expensive.
What was the
$20?
If you know anything
it's
about
20.
If you know anything about New Mexico strip clubs, that you have the ability to not only get a lap dance from a lady, you can also get a lap dance from her mom, who's probably right in the backstage ready to go on next. It's batter.
Oh yeah, that's New Mexico for you. That was a Friday night, so that was top night. There was top paying girls up there. That was demanding a price, and he walked.
He's like, I want $30 or this isn't happening. So, $30 lap dance.
Well, yeah, I thought lap dances were typically 20 because that's the size bill. Like it's just a bill,
Yeah, I don't know.
It just makes sense.
Is that how it goes?
That's how I would operate my strip club. I personally, if I had a gentleman's club,
to $20. I always just thought they'd be more than that. Like
was that like a high ringing night for that? Like is 17 like, oh, I've had a record of 36. Like, was he just like, keep coming, just keep coming, just keep?
Yeah.
Well, he's not tipping. Like, how?
So, I don't know.
I also thought a lap dance was a song, right?
Holy
shit. There you go. That makes sense because I said like I did the math for the 3 minutes roughly, right? Let's say time.
Yeah, let's say 3 minutes.
So he got lap dances for an hour. From one girl, I
guess that's not too bad. An hour is not too bad. I don't know why I was thinking it'd be longer.
Yeah, 51 minutes.
Yeah, but also, couldn't she just claim? Like, who was like? There's probably somebody like making sure like she's doing her thing.
Yeah,
there's some bodyguard. Like, okay, yeah, maybe he's keeping. Maybe he's got like one of those clickers. Those counters.
Yeah.
Just click. Racking it up.
Well, she does this for a living. I'm sure she knows what she's owed.
Yeah.
They do it,
she knows what she's owed.
Yeah.
She's a professional at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just takes off.
She's paying her way through college. That's all.
And then they're gonna send a court summons, right?
Well, they already plastered this guy's name
on
the internet. I mean, this is on...
Yeah, doxed him real quick.
This is on KRQE Channel 13 News. And here in Albuquerque, if you get arrested, they put you on the news the next morning during your arraignment. Everybody gets photographed.
Yeah, Albuquerque's notorious for that.
Yeah, you get to watch every day. You get to watch the next person sit there. It's bad.
Makes you scared to like get in trouble.
No, it does not around here. They're like, bro, I see you on TV.
Dude, they used to put the drunks in the front of the newspaper on Sunday morning. You could
really?
They tell you what they blew. Oh yeah, they did like the top 20 or top 100 people.
You guys just love stats.
We have the worst DWI problem in the country by a lot. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And homeless problems.
And homeless problems. Let's not call them problems. Let's call them
camps.
Opportunities. Yeah.
Homeless opportunities. You guys have a new Epic sent me an article here where you guys have a new homeless shelter going in. Like multi-million-dollar homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm.
A $14 million homeless shelter approved by voters this month.
Yeah, it's not the first one. They put one like subsidized government housing, I guess is what that is. They put one down on San Pedro, and it turned into like they're like, oh, this is gonna be a great idea, and then immediately it was like crime-ridden heroinville, like murders. Like it went south so fast. Like it was such a good idea, and it was like kind-hearted or wholehearted, and it just the fucking plane. The wings flew off, and it was coming down from 80,000 feet on fire, just right into a patch of children. Like it's just so fast. It didn't last so long at all.
We have a place out in Parrington, and it's called the Pines. This is in Rochester. Now, Parrington is like on the east side of town, and it's actually pretty decent. Like, it's real nice out there. I lived, I don't know, 5 minutes from there when I had my apartment down in the east side. Expensive. It's like nice towns, though. The Pines were the subsidized, like, cheap housing, and all the roads were different, like, you know, evergreen and, you know, Oak Tree Drive and whatever. It's all
it's the same here. When you get to the streets that are named after states, you've gone too far.
Yeah, you don't want to be in there, man. It's all drug addicts, drug dealers, people that don't speak English. Like you don't know what you're getting into. Like 10 kids per apartment. It's crazy. Like it's just people dying there. There's all types of like. Yeah, all types of violence and theft, but it's like right in the middle of like whenever you put cheap housing somewhere, it's like it attracts people that can like only afford cheap housing.
Yeah,
which means that they're not busy being productive like somewhere else.
We have the war zone here, and it's they call it that for a reason because it's bad. But I think Albuquerque's problem is that they're bringing in a lot of movie making from all over the country. They just Netflix just moved. Netflix is headquartered here now.
Really?
And so yeah, and so you know, and
give
they
some
like
people
to
some jobs.
They like to use downtown as a. They have to actually, per their contract, they have to actually spend a certain amount of money the first 3 years that they're here. So like El Camino was filmed here and all that kind of stuff.
Do they pay? Okay, let's say they're filming and they need like a homeless guy. Like, couldn't they just pay like some of the homeless guys?
They do, yeah, absolutely, they do, and they should. I mean, maybe they do, right? But with the area that they're talking about, where there's tent cities and everything, is downtown by the rail yards, where they want to film a lot of movies because it's a good place to look. It looks all blown up and old and broken down, and they want to film there, but people are living there, so they can't just come in and be like, hey, we're filming now. The whole area, that whole downtown area, all gold and lead and coal, and all the way up to the train station off Broadway, all that area is like prime real estate for some rundown, like 100-year-old houses that are really good for filmmaking. A lot of good Breaking Bad action, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but they don't want the
Crystal Palace.
Residents. Yeah. So they're just building, and they're just trying to move them. It's like District 9. You know, what are we gonna do with all these aliens? You know, let's move them to a better camp where you'll be happier. You know, and that's not the case.
Farther down the fucking shithole you go.
I've never known a shelter to fix a homeless problem.
No,
because you're not addressing the fact that they don't have money to get a home.
And it's gotten bad over the years. They like panhandling off the charts out here every corner.
Yeah, we have panhandling. It's not so bad though.
Yeah, it is bad.
And I was, you know, it's funny. One of the worst places I've ever seen is in Salt Lake City. I took a trip there, and you go down to downtown Salt Lake City, and there's adults and kids and people just straight living on the street.
Skid Row in LA is supposedly like the worst third world-esque
the tent cities
situation.
What struck me about Salt Lake City was you're in the middle of a beautiful downtown district. They got the giant Mormon church with the guy at the top that's made out of gold. Yeah, you know, and in the middle of that is the homeless. And it just blew my mind because it was such a beautiful city. It was really pretty. And it was just homeless people everywhere. And when I saw the homeless kids, I said, wow, you know. Yeah. So you can talk about Albuquerque, but I was shocked that it was there. And we're talking about people that almost, I wouldn't say intentionally homeless, but they'd been there doing what they were doing for a while. And you could tell. They were seasoned vets at the Panhandle game, and it's, I don't know.
Man, I hate panhandling. Yeah, so annoying.
I'm going to sign off of this SSP at this point.
Okay,
it's been fun. I'll let you guys continue, but I do have to sign off. So
I will be departing from this.
Until the
Gentlemen,
next
it's been a good
SSP.
night. Until next week.
Until the next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peace. God be with you, or something.
Well, we're gonna talk
No,
about.
that sounds
whiskey.
like a good. That sounds like a good. Yeah. So let's do some whiskey and then we'll call it.
Hang on, there's something going on. There was something started. One of my laptops just started playing audio. Like, yeah, it's closed and it just turned on and started playing audio. Yeah, basically, we'll wrap up the homeless issue with I've never seen. There's two issues to address with homeless people, and one is the fact that they need to like be able to get a job, which means like mental. You need to help people like mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And then two is that you need to like have jobs available for them to like make money so that they can not be homeless. And that's it.
Right. A minimum. Living
I guess
wage. Yeah.
I guess the third thing is that like the area and the cost of living needs to be accessible. You know what I'm saying? The type of jobs that are in a certain city might not be beneficial to them being there.
Need to agree with you completely. I think we need better mental health. Mental health should be free. I mean, healthcare should be free, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Bernie Sanders.
And then I also think that we should have training, vocational training, free and available.
A lot
for
more of it, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to make higher education free, but you should have free community college for everybody so they could get vocational training and learn a skill.
At least associates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think associates could be
welder,
free,
a carpenter, an electrician.
Yeah, certifications.
Go work on computers. There's in every community has a community college, and I think in the vein of what they actually were traditionally and what they're supposed to be, it's a vocational institute. That's what community colleges are, and they have a little area, which is good. But I think everybody should have the right to vocational training so that they can do something with whatever skills that they have, and that we don't do that.
How many colleges do you guys have in Albuquerque?
The two main ones are CNM, which is the Central New Mexico Community College. Used to be called Albuquerque TVI, which was Technical Vocational Institute, and that's the kind of school that would be that should be free for people to go, because you can go get your degree in welding, or you could get your degree in which transfers to then UNM, which is the University of New Mexico is here. And those are the two main. There's Highlands Universities here. University of Phoenix is everywhere. But those are the two main ones. And then all over New Mexico, you have Central. There's colleges in Portales, and yeah.
I could name so many colleges that we have.
Yeah. And then you guys, well, you know what they're doing in New Mexico though? They're trying to pass legislation to make all college free.
Yeah.
With we have oil and gas money, and now we have a liberal governor who's pushing a lot of legislation, which is good.
Before we get just the last thing is just because we're already going down that road is Bernie Sanders for president. Are you Bernie guy?
I'm a Buttigieg. That's who if I were to pick today, he's the one that I would pick actually.
Really? I'll have to look into him a little more. I just like Bernie because I appreciate his free healthcare, free.
I like Bernie. No, I like Bernie. I like Warren, but I like Buttigieg is I like what he stands for. I like what he's been through. I like how assertive he is. They all have similar policies. I think he's a straight shooter. He's not been mired in politics for the past 50 years, so he's a breath of fresh air.
What if Buttigieg had Bernie as his vice president?
I don't think Bernie would do that, honestly. Yeah, I think it could be the other way around.
Yeah.
But I think I'm impressed by him and his ability to be in the military. He's in the military. He's the first. He's an openly gay mayor and a very not segregated, but a very mixed cultural town. It's not segregated, but there's a high black population, and he's been able to deal with a lot of social issues in that town, plus the fact that he's gay, plus the fact that he's military, plus the fact, and you hear him talk, he's articulate, he's not afraid of anything, he doesn't back down, and he has a lot of great ideas for free healthcare, for free college, for fixing taxes, things that are really similar to Bernie, but his makeup as a person, is pretty impressive to me.
I'll look into him a little bit more, and he's a little healthier.
But I like Bernie. I like that he's from Vermont. I have a lot of family in Vermont, and that's but what worries me about Bernie is he's too socialist in a time when people aren't ready for a socialist. We need another stepping stone towards that.
Yeah,
if that's where they want to go.
Yeah, Ethic is a huge right wing enthusiast, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's surprising. He kind of flip flops a little bit.
He blew my mind.
If you've noticed.
Yeah, he's like, I'm voting for Trump just to shake it all up. I said, what?
What?
We got in an argument about it, and then I was like, I said, you have the right to be wrong. That's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but yeah, no, and he's informed. He actually surprised me how informed he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's not good stuff to be informed on.
Yeah, I don't.
It's the wrong view.
I don't agree. It's an anarchist. What's the word I'm looking for here? Anarchist. Mentality. He wants to blow it all up so he can start back in Stone Age, and then we can fix it again.
No, I mean, if you really get into it with him, he'll say it is much better to be capitalist than socialist. He really hates socialism.
I think
fundamentally,
capitalism is the root of all of our. The endless pursuit of increasing profits is what makes our country weak. Our democracy makes us strong, but our capitalism makes us.
He likes the fact that everybody we won't get into it too much, but he definitely is like a capitalistic. I totally agree with you. So we'll have to team up on him someday and try and brainwash him back.
Yeah, brainwash him back. Yeah, I think he's convinced himself because he wants to stand for something, and so he's dug in and really found something that he thinks he believes in. So I applaud that.
Yeah,
and that's good.
I'm glad he at least goes in full. If he's gonna believe in it, he at least educates himself to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
And he has articulated arguments. I got an argument with
I can't articulate against him enough, but
yeah. Well, I got an argument with somebody, and it turned into just an attack on all Democrats. And Democrats do this and Democrats do that. And I say, you can't just clump people and say all Republicans are this, all Democrats are that, and that's what it's become. And like you said, he's conservative, but he's not a Republican. Not at all.
He's too smart to. You can't. It's hard for me to have a conversation with him because I don't care enough to look into the politics of it. I just I'm more of I feel, I feel the way things are going and the way they should be going, and I try to look more at fundamentally why things are the way they are. But I don't care to try and flesh out a way to fix it because that's too much work for me, myself, not being a politician.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to sift through if you're not into it,
Yeah. And, I just try and pick up enough to where I know where I stand. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on it too much, politics. We'll be able to talk about politics anytime.
Right.
Let's try and transition over to the whiskey. I have so much whiskey news.
Right. Let's see.
We can kind of blow through it too. If you want to start with the second link, the Canadian Oak Bourbon. I think you might get an interesting kick out of this. I actually think you'd be interested in a lot of this stuff if you haven't heard of it already.
Yeah, well, first thing that strikes me on that is it can't be bourbon if it's from Canada.
I think all it has to be is oak, new oak barrels. I don't think they've specified American oak, have they?
Yep. It has to be produced in the U.S., made from a mash bill of 51% corn, distilled no more than 160 proof, into the aging container no more than 100. It says all that there.
But it doesn't. It can be produced in America without using American oak, though.
Has to be, and these are all right. Oh, I was reading what they said, and correct. Meet the following: produced and made from mash bill. So what makes it Canadian? Oh, because it's Canadian oak. It's not a Canadian bourbon. Gotcha. Interesting.
Apparently, it is a tighter grain, which allows the whiskey to penetrate more layers in the wood. So there's more layers per let's say inch, or per millimeter. There's more layers.
Yeah, and so it does take longer because what happens is oak breathes. So so you get your angel's share and your devil's cut. That's where those come from. The angel's share is the evaporated that goes out of the oak, and the devil's cut's the concentrated bourbon that's left. So the longer it takes longer, but so oak expands and contracts and expands and contracts, and it absorbs it and then spits it out. So I would wonder if it's harder if it doesn't. It says it penetrates more layers in the wood, but that sounds to me like, sounds like it doesn't.
If you think about the layers on a tree, as it ages, they're tighter when they don't grow as much.
Yeah.
In a year, so these have more layers per measurement. Let's say
so
millimeter.
They're taking Buffalo Trace and putting it in
centimeter.
Taking Buffalo Trace and putting it in Canadian oak barrels.
Well, yeah, this is, I think, the third release. They state that they had a first release was a 10-year-old Buffalo Trace aged in Mongolian oak, and then they had a second, which was a 12-year aged in French oak.
Interesting.
So this old charter Canadian oak barrel aged, I think is supposed to have more wood flavor. It's bottled at 92 proof.
And it's available in 2030? Is that?
Yep. The distillery says it's already laid down barrels for continuous release through 2030.
Gotcha. So it's probably in there for a year or two.
No, it's probably in there for a couple of years, right?
Second was
Old Charter. This is where Old Charter oak. Let's see.
French oak. Yeah, because I don't know much about a name. Canadian oak. I know American oak and French oak are used a lot. I know that we had talked about Japanese oak being used in Japanese whiskeys. But Canadian oak, that's interesting. Huh. Well, yeah, if that's what gives it its flavor, you think if it's sitting in oak longer, it's going to have more notes of wood and just like leather and.
Well, I wonder if a slow aging
finish. It'll have a smoother finish.
Let's see. I wonder if a slow aging whiskey would have a different, not slow aging. Let me a slow aging tree, slow aging oak. You know what I'm saying? Like oak that doesn't grow very much over 10 years of its life versus oak that grows at a much faster pace. I wonder if that means a different wood flavor.
Yeah,
because it's more weathered. It's lived a harder, more. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to try. It would be interesting to try. It's only $70.
Do Canadian whiskeys use Canadian oak? Like Crown Royal?
I'm sure they do. They must.
I don't know. I don't really know that. Canadian Crown Royal.
I mean, Crown Royal's delicious.
Yeah, it's smooth. Canadian Oak. Let me see. I know it's from there, but do they? It's interesting because they have Crown Royal French oak finish, French oak cast, hints of oak and the sweet flavors of vanilla. Oak barrel. I don't know. Crown Royal whiskey barrels. That's interesting.
Gotta be Canadian Oak. I mean, what else would they use?
Yeah, well, they could use French American oak. They could use whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, isn't French and Canadian Oak like the same thing?
No. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I know.
right. I don't think. Politically, yes, but.
All right, let's take a look at the Old-Fangled Bourbon. Have you ever heard of Old-Fangled? Bloom Brothers?
No.
Apparently, it is a super popular, pretty rare bourbon. And they release it seasonally, 4 times a year. The barrels that they use for this were bought and they were 7-year. So they opened this distillery in 2013, and they bought these barrels, which were already 7-year-old, from MGP, and then they blend it with different barrels to get their own whiskey. And apparently, it's a huge like hit. Cask strength. This is a 13-year-old, but they don't even use like new labels. They just saved the labels from last year.
A 7-year-old bourbon from MGP in Indiana, which they continue to.
And then they only sell, I think, 150 or 130 bottles this last go around. 130 they sold at $90 a bottle. First come, first serve.
Wow.
Yep. Apparently, it's something that is pretty popular.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because they're in
highly
Illinois.
allocated.
But it's totally like one of those things where it's a collectible.
Yeah, but are they collecting it for the actual bourbon or for the bottle in the story? Which isn't necessarily bad.
Both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's both. They're using like MGP and mixing it themselves with some other aged whiskey.
Right? I like it. It's like it's like craft beer, it's got that same nuance, that aura about it.
I have a big problem with like collecting things that are like just different, I just like things that are just, their own thing. Which doesn't mean that they're a good thing.
So you'd line up
that's a problem.
And pay $1,800 for a bottle?
It's only $90.
$90. Where's the $1,800 I saw?
I think they sell it back.
Once these bottles are gone, unless they're resold for sometimes upwards of $1,800 per bottle. Huh. So people buy it for $90 and then eBay it for $1,800.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Huh. Would you line up for?
I would actually. Last week we talked about Epic and I talked about. I think it was Chicago or Cincinnati. Maybe it was Cincinnati. They found some old cellar that had like 4 roses.
Oh, yeah.
And they only had like a couple hundred bottles. But anyways, what they do is a raffle. And you go to the store that they're going to sell it at, and they sell all the bottles for $100. And you get there and you enter in the raffle, and then if you get chosen, you get to buy a $100 bottle that's probably worth, $1,500 or $2,000. They're like super. I've seen this happen before too, where if the whatever their liquor bureau is, discovers like really old cellar wine, or once they come into possession of like really old rare bottles, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They raffle it just for a base price of like $100.
Oh, there's collectors out there that'll line up for that. They should auction it.
But
They could
but
probably
you
make
still have the same chance as any collector to get this exclusive bottle. That's one of the coolest things I've ever.
Yeah.
Even this,
That's cool.
like they do like first come first serve, but like I think raffles are better. That way you don't have to nobody has to sit there forever.
Oh yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And then these people are lining up to resell. I mean, how about half these people are? That's terrible.
There's 130 bottles, 125 of them are reselling.
Yeah,
no,
that's crazy.
Maybe
good.
less, but it's cool. I like it.
Old-Fangled Nodder.
What else do we got?
Straight-
Oh yeah,
Straight bourbon whiskey.
I'll save that for the whiskey web for last. Let's talk about, and I'll skip weird whiskey this week. I'll always have that available. The Maker's Kentucky Bourbon, you can read that article whenever. That's good for like anybody that sells liquor. And I'll put it in the description for the video for anybody that's interested in it.
Burned recipe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool in itself. But let's go to the Is It Though, which is the best whiskey gifts. Let's talk about some of the whiskey on that list. And then we'll go back to the whiskey web. Alright, and then that'll be it for the SSP, since this is like, what are we going to, an hour and 55, so.
What? Where's best
I want to
whiskey
burn your whole night.
gifts?
Yes, the 20 best bottles of whiskeys to gift this year. And
Where is it? I don't see that article. Is it?
Is It Though? It's the last one, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the question I kind of wanted to impose on this article is this is supposedly the 20 best whiskeys.
I could speak to this, yeah. 4 rows of small batch select.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Especially for the price.
Yeah, I started looking through this list, and I actually was I was pretty into most of these. So yeah, 4 Rows is a legitimately good tasting whiskey. Like it's just strictly like a taste thing.
Yeah. A lot of people really like 4 Rows.
It's not one of those like it's good because it's different.
Small batch.
I think that is a small batch right there. Yeah, that's a small batch
that
select.
One is, yeah.
About $55. Obviously, Knob Creek is delicious. Single Barrel Reserve, $45. New Riff, I've never tried, and I'm not a big fan of rye myself. But, do you know anything about New Riff?
No. Let me see. There we go.
They're a new distillery, and apparently one of the most exciting.
I like that bottle though. That's nice.
I do. I love that bottle.
Yeah. So
the way it the way it gets more transparent.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that.
Straight rye. So you're not a rye. You're not a rye.
I'm not a rye, and this isn't aged very long. That bottle there says fall 2014, like on the picture.
Just get for a buddy.
Distilled fall 2014. So they're like, unless they're using like half or quarter barrels, they're not gonna get like so much of the wood flavor.
Yeah, see, a lot of these are small batch. The Elijah Craig, that's a good one. 1789. Yeah, 127 proof.
Bottled and Bond.
That's the one you drink with the round ice cube because you don't want it.
The Henry McKenna single barrel. The Elijah Craig, like you said, barrel proof. Yeah, they're either single barrel. They're single barrel. They're either small batch or they are full proof, like barrel proof bourbons. Is most of these, which are all good. Ryes are big too.
They got Lafroig.
Old Forester. Do you like Old Forester?
No, never been a
I don't
fan
know
of
if I
that.
would have put that on this list.
Yeah, I mean that's not
Unless you're
high
just
on
trying to
the-
get someone into a rye whiskey and like you don't want to spend a lot of money if they don't like it.
Oh, that's
I
when you go. I think of this list, and you go to the next one, Crown.
Yeah, the Crown would be good. That's a $50
Yeah.
bottle though. Northern Harvest Rye. Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's good.
What's the deal with that?
It's a 90% rye whiskey, so it's got more rye than your average whiskey. But it's a straight up 90 proof. See, so like a lot of the flavored whiskeys will go down. So like even the Jim Beam flavors right now are going down to 65 proof. They used
Well,
to
that
be
one's
70.
only 45%, I think.
It's 90.
It's a
proof,
90% rye.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
to keep the 90 proof as a rye, which the sometimes you lose that. But some of these are
Yeah.
higher, 100 proof, 127 for the Elijah. But that's not.
Well, that's
bad.
because they're right out of the barrel. They don't cut them.
Yeah.
They don't bottle them
That's
with,
good.
which I prefer, in a way.
Let's see here. Yeah. No, the Lafroig is a good. That's a good one. The 10-year.
I'm not a big fan of scotches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a single malt. It's a single malt, which
Yeah.
is 117 proof. That'll put some hair on your chest.
Yeah, that'll mess you. We're talking about the Laughlin or Lagavulin.
The Lafroig.
Oh, there's a Lafroy 10-year old cast strength.
Yeah.
Islay single malt scotch.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
I've had that. That's good stuff.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, I had to take a full glass full of it straight to the head to prove a
Really
point.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it made me very very appreciative of the opportunity. Oh my gosh, yeah. That'll put some air on your chest, but it's good. And it's the 10 years, and I don't know what it is about Lafroig, but it's got a lot of flavor to it. There are a lot of Scotch whiskeys. A lot of Scotch whiskeys to me taste like watered down Scotch in itself versus bourbon. To me, tastes watered down, even though it's a higher proof, and that one's got more flavor in it.
Well,
You
got to think Scotch is in a colder environment, so the wood's not expanding and contrasting as much. I would assume that cuts down on the barrel flavor.
Unless you leave it longer in Canadian.
Plus
Canadian
they
oak.
use, Plus they use other barrels. They don't use new barrels.
Yeah, and they can move barrels as long as it stays in Scotland for 3 years. It can be called a Scotch whiskey.
I wonder if those barrels. I've always wondered actually if those barrels like can lose the wood flavor in exchange for other flavor, obviously, but.
Yeah.
Like if you keep barreling in the same barrel, like eventually, like you don't taste as much wood or what?
I think a lot of times they use new barrels. Right now, the big trend is to reuse old barrels for wine. So that's when you're gonna get a bourbon cab and a rum Chardonnay.
So I wanted to try a bourbon cab.
They're good. They're really
Are they?
good.
Damn.
Yeah, Robert Mondavi has a really good bourbon barrel.
I saw
Menage a Trois actually has one.
I saw this one bourbon that I really wanted, but it was like, first off, it was like $130, and second off, it was sold out. So I had thought about it, but it was sold out, so I couldn't get it anyways. It was aged for 10 years, and then what they did was they took a barrel that had been used for honey from a honey producer, and they barreled it in there for another a year, maybe.
Honey flavored whiskey or
right.
Bourbon is.
Right,
See,
but the fact that it was like infused through the barrel aging of it, that's what I was really interested in.
I've talked to customers about honey and why people love honey bourbon so much. Now you can have synthetic flavors for apple and
I don't
maple,
like synthetic,
but you can have it. But you can't have synthetic. There's no synthetic honey. All honey flavor is honey.
Yeah,
we've been able to split the atom, but we've never been able to synthesize honey as a human race.
Well, there's a lot of things we haven't been able to do.
That just blows my mind. Like
Sex.
you can't figure it out.
Sex robots that are like actually attractive. We haven't been able to do that yet.
No, but that's true.
Oh, so all right. So they barrel it in there for like a year or two, right? Or maybe it was like 6 months or a year. So let's say a year. Okay. Then what they do is they take the whiskey out and they bottle it up, right? They send that barrel back to the honey producer, where they barrel honey in the whiskey honey barrel.
Oh wow.
Which then they sell that honey.
Oh, it's a whiskey, honey. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. Which would be
Is it-
delicious.
Right? Is it intoxicating?
I don't know. I
Still-
wanted it, but I didn't get any.
You're not getting.
I'm
any of
never
that. That's too
gonna.
awesome.
But man,
Too awesome.
that's like, if I ever want to tell someone, like, normally you wouldn't tell somebody a story about something that you didn't do, right?
Yeah.
But that's one of those stories where you're like, it's just interesting. It's just
And
good
then
to
I
hear.
didn't. And then I didn't get it.
And then I didn't get it. But wasn't that story great about how that whiskey was made? I don't know what Nika whiskey is from the barrel. West of the Yamazakis. Yeah, that's probably good for holding on to. At least
Yeah,
to,
but you know
like,
what?
resell.
I
That
like
barrel,
the-
that bottle.
I like
Stupid.
that bottle. It's got kind of the moonshine cap.
I don't like
It's
it.
got the. You don't like it? I like
It's
it simple.
unrefined.
Oh wow, that looks like it was made. It was made
There's
from,
like nothing special about it.
made from some factory in Okinawa, and
Yeah.
that was
Well, it looks like some child bottled that for me. Some child labor.
It's the
Some
child labor.
sweatshop. I can see
Yeah.
the sweaty fingerprints on it. No.
But
The
was it
next
made
one
in
is that's a
Japanese oak
nice
barrels?
bottle.
Old elk.
Yeah, that old elk.
I don't know.
Blended
What's-
straight.
Basil Hayden.
I wonder if that's real elk, like, handler. No way.
No.
No way.
I don't even say
Elk are,
much
like,
about it.
super
No, it's
rare.
MGP Masters Distiller. Comes from a. It's like private label. It's just stock whiskey in a fancy bottle. $50.
That 1792 full proof, I wanted to have the full proof, but they didn't
It's good.
have it at the liquor store when I was there. So I got the
Yeah.
single barrel.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, not the single barrel. Small batch, right? Which is actually they blend some of their whiskeys. Man,
Yeah.
that is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
The 1792.
The 1792
Single
small batch. Small batch. It's going to be a little different every bottle or every per barrel that they do per mix, I guess. But I'm assuming they're all going to be delicious. So if you can't find the full proof because it was named the like whiskey of the year by what's that, like Jim Murray, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can't find that, find any 1792 basically.
Yeah.
Because they're great.
1792 is good. Yeah.
My dad,
I've
I
had
had my dad try some. I bought a 750. I had my dad try it. He bought a 1.75. Like
Oh jeez.
yeah. He went full.
And a half gallon is. Ooh, Russell's. You got Russell's rye reserve here. Russell's
Small
is good, too.
batch. PH Russell's Reserve rye.
Yeah.
Or rye. Yeah. Maybe I gotta
It's
try
not-
more rye.
I don't know. Rye adds like I want to say a spice to it. I like
Yeah,
smooth.
no, it is. That's why rye. That's why I wanted to try a wheat. There's no
Yeah.
wheated whiskey in here, is there?
I like
Oh,
no.
The Crown
I don't know.
is Crown wheated. Oh, that's the rye one though. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think there's any wheated whiskeys in here, or wheat whiskeys. Period. Like full wheat,
Yeah, no.
which I actually haven't tried. I don't think
I don't
full
know if
wheat.
I have either. I'm trying to think if well, I mean maybe I haven't, I didn't know.
You've tried wheated whiskey. I know that.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
I've tried more whiskey than I care to admit.
I've never had a full wheat though, which I've been interested in.
Oh,
So yeah, let's see. Russell's is good. It's a rye though. I don't know what Willet is,
Legend.
but it's another rye. Legend. I kind of like that bottle. That logo design at least.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this like a
Japanese
Japanese
blending.
American blend? Yeah, by Jim Beam.
American flavor. Ah.
Well, because Jim Beam's owned by Suntory.
Yeah, you
It's a
should know
Japanese
though.
company.
You should know
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, I have not tried this.
Okay, so this is Jim Beam Classic Bourbon blended with bourbon finished in sherry and red wine casks.
So it's like an XO because the sherry
Partially finished with wine and sherry casks.
Huh?
I don't. You know what? I have a sherry casked Glenmorangie,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Huh.
I would like to
What's
try
it
a
add- What's it
bourbon.
add to it? What's it do for it?
You know what? You get a little bit of the sherry taste. That's about it.
The finish.
But yeah, a little bit of the. But because it's Glenmorangie, like a Scotch, so I'm like already like. You know, I thought it'd be a little bit further away from Scotch. I was hoping, but it's aged. I think it's aged 10 years as a Scotch, and then 2 years in sherry, something like
geez.
that. So in a sherry cask. So it's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. I like bourbon. I'm a bourbon guy. So
Yeah. No, I see that. That's good.
Yeah.
No doubt. You know your bourbons. You know your whiskeys, your bourbons. You do not
well,
know your
I
ryes.
read more than I taste because I'm broke and I can't be. I can't be but I did want to start going out with one of the guys from work after we both work Wednesday until like 3. So then we can go out I was thinking we could go out after to like try and find like a nice whiskey bar or something
Yeah, that's what you gotta
Like, go there.
to the bar.
and just get a shot of it, you know. $6. Get a
It's hard
shot.
to find some of
Or
these at a
$10
bar.
maybe. $8.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you gotta find like a good whiskey bar. Like there's no way they would have Legion. There's no way they would have I would say like what 6 yeah, they wouldn't have maybe 70% of the bottles on here. Like that old oak or old elk, they wouldn't have that.
No.
No.
True
But
blue.
anyways,
Corn
the
whiskey.
Starward, that design's like pretty interesting. That Nova, what is that? Single malt
Yeah, I don't know.
Australian.
I wasn't feeling that. That was freaking me out. It's like a wine bottle.
It's freaking. It does, but it's Australian. What's that all about?
I don't know. What's Australian have?
It's 2 years
Sorry.
old.
Oh.
It's
first-
entirely in former red wine barrels.
Yeah,
I guess that's why it looks.
doesn't like harsh drinks, but wants to get out of their comfort zone.
Would this be like the rosé of, or the blush,
Yeah,
the like blush
yeah.
wine of?
Yeah, it's a friendly whiskey. It takes the edge off because whiskey.
Single
whiskey has
malt.
that- Huh. Wonder what that does. Makes it. You think if they're doing it in wine barrels, that's going to add a little bit of flavor, some tannin, maybe even to it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Some bold. It make it bold.
Fruitiness. It's gonna be
rich.
fruity too. Rich.
Right.
Yeah. Like you got to think you're gonna get a little bit of like the wine. Period. Right. So like.
Yeah. Well, it's warm. That's what like a Cabernet red wine.
Yeah.
Would give it a warm.
Depends on
finish
the wine, I
on the
guess.
tongue. Yeah, you don't say what kind of red wine.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of red wine.
Well, if it's in Australia, it's going to be a drier red wine, yeah? Or no?
Well,
Not
Australia's known for their Shiraz.
Yeah. I like Shiraz.
Yeah, so and Shiraz is actually kind of a spicier wine. So
Yeah.
it might not take the edge off. It might add a
Well,
little
earthy.
spice. Yeah.
Earthy.
It's Shiraz is like a thinner. It's like the spicy Pinot.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Oh, what else I got? The True Blue 100 proof straight corn whiskey. I don't think I've ever had a straight corn either.
Oh, and why is it not a bourbon?
That looks
It's-
so dark.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because a corn whiskey is going to be sweet because of the corn.
Yeah. Oh, it uses blue corn.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Interesting. We have blue corn tortillas here.
What else do they got?
I bet it's sweet. I bet it's relatively sweet. No whiskey's actually sweet.
Bell mead, that's fine.
I don't know.
Nothing special there.
I do like the Westward bottle. I don't know why.
American single malt whiskey. That's interesting.
Right? America's own. 100% Toro barley grown in the Pacific Northwest. Up by Walla Walla, no doubt.
Barley. Telling you, man, they miss out on like wheat.
Well, if you go up to like the Washington Oregon border by Walla Walla up there, all the hills are wheat, like rolling wheat hills for days, and then they put vineyards in the middle of them, of these rolling wheat hills, so that face the southeast sun, and so they get some really good. I bet it's really good barley out there for that, because I mean it's just miles and miles of endless rolling hills of that stuff, and that's why they have so much wine, because of the ground and how the glaciers tore up the ground and made it like very a rocky floor that water doesn't stay on, so it filters the water out easily, so that they can control the irrigation of all the plants that are out there.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But that whole area is a wine mecca. But when I was out there touring there, what I noticed the most was how much wheat hills, how many wheat hills and fields there were. It was as far as I could see. It's interesting. So that they would do this, because it's a wet climate, right? Your barrel, so you're doing barrel aged Scotch in a wet, damp climate, not much like Scotland, right? Interesting.
Yeah, they do have straight wheat whiskeys, but you know what I just saw was a sweet wheat 1792.
Oh shoot!
It's a wheated 1792.
What do you guys have out there? Do you guys have total? You don't have Total Wine out there, do you?
Nope.
Do you have?
We don't have
some kind of wine warehouse superstore.
Nope.
Huh?
Nope.
Wow. So that's where you'd buy something. You could buy any of these.
Only mom and pop.
Oh man, and they're not carrying the niche products.
Surprisingly, they're pretty. They keep up pretty well. They know how. I mean, we have a pretty good hipster population, and whiskey's coming back around. So
hipster population.
We have a few pretty good stores. The go-tos, you know. If anybody's in Rochester, it's Marketplace, Market View Liquor. That's a big one. It's over on like one of our main. It's over by our mall, like a couple, like 2 miles from the mall.
So you got the opportunity.
Yeah, I could probably find a few of these. You know, I definitely want to try that Legion. Here, these are the ones that I would buy for myself. Let's see. Let me go out. Yeah, all right. So I would definitely have the Four Roses. Knobs is pretty harsh for me, but I would have it. What else do they got? The Elijah Craig's would be fine too. I don't know if I'd buy that over maybe like they got here that I don't know, Old Elk, because there's nothing really special there, but I'd try that too. Yeah. 1792, obviously, I'd try that.
The Four Roses and the Elijah Craig.
Yeah.
That's
the Legion.
And the Lafroy. And the Legion. I'd just try
I would try that Starward too, just because like that's interesting. It might not be good, but it is at least interesting. Same thing with the True Blue. That Westward. Yeah, I would have all those.
Yeah, those are expensive.
And I would add that Sweet Wheat 1792.
And the Sweet Wheat, that's piqued my interest. Sweet Wheat 1792. Can't possibly be any harder to drink than this 125 proof 1792. Holy cow.
Yeah.
You
That's
have to
gonna
drink
be-
it straight. You can't. You drink that neat, and you savor every sip as it burns through your soul.
Yeah, seriously. Right through.
That's good stuff.
All right. You got 3 more minutes?
3 more. Yeah, of course.
Let's do one more article, and that's going to be the Whiskey Web. Grab the Ars Technica link. Okay. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is, well, let me tell you what it is first. So apparently this guy found out that whiskeys, when they are mixed with a certain amount of water, when the water evaporates, it leaves this weird, like, web-looking residue. It's actually like the sediment from the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And it leaves these different web patterns, but they're all fairly unique. So what this guy is like leaning towards, I think, and what the article kind of leans towards is that you could actually like use it as a fingerprint for a whiskey, and that way people wouldn't be able to counterfeit.
That's what I was going to say. You can call bull on their labels. You know, they're aged in 100% American oak or whatever they're saying.
Yeah. Well, you could say like, okay, well, this is, you know,
it's not a 10-year. It doesn't have the signature.
Yeah, it's not. It's not Pappy.
Oh, look at that.
You can say it's not Pappy. Like it doesn't have that signature. Yeah.
Counterfeit Lafroig.
Anything that's like kind of expensive, you know, you'd like get it fingerprinted, and then you could. I mean, honestly, you could do that as a business. You work with Pappy and like get it fingerprinted, so that when like somebody says that they have a 3-year-old from 2018, you can like check it back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you said, a fingerprint. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I bet whiskey collectors would pay a handsome sum to make sure that what they have is legitimately. Then you'd have to open it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, people open them, but you can I've looked into like collecting whiskey, and sometimes people go through, like, obviously you want to try it, and some like same thing with wine. Like whenever you have an expensive bottle, like you will open it.
Then you're done.
Yeah. Well, then you can reseal it. There's ways of like shrink wrapping it, or you know, whatever, recorking it, right?
Not really. No.
Once the air hits
there's technology there. There's technology that you can do it, but no, traditionally
it's not the same as
never
opened.
Wine. It's like you can't drink that whole bottle. Come on now, you know. Don't let's drink the bottle.
Yeah, come on, just drink the whole thing. With whiskey, I think it's a little different. I don't think liquor stays.
Liquor stays better. It has a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
Because there's not the fermenting and going on in there. You know, that the distillation process kills all of the fermenting.
Yeah, I think people that drink whiskey, or collect it, typically do. Not typically, but they can like taste it and then rebottle it.
I mean that's why people have home bars. Good stuff in the back bar, and no, that's good.
Plus, you know, you want to make sure that's right.
When you want to break out the old 25-year Scotch, you know, you definitely want to know if it's
or if you want to enjoy it and then resell it, you know. You want to just try it and then resell the bottle like a couple years later for a little bit more, you know? Yeah, it was open, but still is good, so you can sell it for as much money as you bought it.
Yeah.
Or more.
I mean, I drank straight from it, so I mean, you know, but I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, it kills all the germs anyways. It's full.
Touche.
It's full. It's barrel proof.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's 126 proof.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, clean your floors with this. Come on now.
Yeah. I thought
That's
that one
funny.
was
I
pretty
know.
cool.
Yeah, I like it. That's interesting. All of this stuff for me is good talking points. You know, when I'm hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Did you know? That's great. Nice.
Did you know that old people can't use their phone because of zombie fingers?
Yeah, did you know old people have zombie fingers? It has to do with conduction because their fingertips are dry. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Next week, I'll obviously have more game news and whiskey because Google loves to send me whiskey news. And I'm gonna look into old supercars, possibly like if you could buy a, like a 6-year-old Gallardo with like, over 100,000 miles. I wonder what that would sell for.
Nice. What's the
But
what's the rate? How long do these last? That's a good question.
Yeah,
These
that's it.
fiberglass monsters.
Yeah, what's the rust like? But
Yeah.
that'll be all the SSP6 next week on Saturday sometime.